Hello and welcome to the Digital Juice Bar, the only podcast where the memory cards are also Tamagotchi. I'm Hoodley.
I'm KnightmareAlpha.
And we actually have a guest this time. A fairly big guest, which I'm still... I don't know how he's on here, but it probably has something to do with blackmail. Please welcome DreamcastGuy. Yay!
Hi, happy to be here. Please don't release any pictures of me. There's no blackmail. Hi, I'm happy to be here.
Yeah,
that's great.
Yeah,
that's just how we roll.
Yeah.
So, what do we have in store for this week?
I don't really know. we just kind of come here. Dreamcast Guy is here. He's a neat dude with a neat hat. His fiance's pretty cool.
I do, and she has a hat as well, but she never wears it.
That's a shame. All right, so I'm sure most people watching this, because, not a lot of people watch this, and that's totally fine. We just do this for fun. But for anyone watching or listening who doesn't know who you are, you want to introduce yourself, tell us what you're all about?
Hi, I'm DreamcastGuy. I do a lot of YouTube videos that are sometimes gaming news. Sometimes my favorite thing to do is game reviews. I'll just beat the heck out of a game and talk about the good, the bad, and the ugly. And I do some top 10 lists. It's all really, really fun because I get to basically spend all day, every day playing video games.
That is nice.
That's the dream.
Then maybe if I did that, I could finally get through all the RPGs in my collection, but oh well.
It happens.
Actually, even then, I'd probably still just get more and more, because...
Yep, that's the problem I have, is that I play so many games for work that I have to like sit down and just play them, that my backlog is constantly growing. I think I have like 460 PlayStation 4 games now, and I've probably only beaten like 120 of them.
Jeez. That reminds me of something Binyatsi Croshaw made a joke of in his video. It's like he complained about a game coming out on a Friday or something and said that I can't remember exactly what he said, but it was like he wanted to spend the weekend just sitting on the couch playing video games instead of sitting on the couch playing video games for work.
Yep, totally. I get that. Well, I'll have that sometimes where I'm playing something for review and I want to be playing something purely for fun. And my fiance will come in and she's like, "What are you playing?" I'm like, I'm having to play this bad game instead of playing this good game because I have to.
I actually kind of did that like for a couple weeks, like at the end of December, because I wanted to make a video on Beyond the Beyond, this random PS1 RPG that no one talks about, that I think I actually got at the convention where I met you.
Yeah. Yeah,
I did. I got that in Galarians, which Galarians is pretty good, but Beyond the Beyond, wow, that game is terrible.
I have to say, I just stopped hate playing. It's not worth it.
Yeah, I stopped playing too. Just at a point, it got so frustrating that you know what? No, I'm not gonna play it. I'm gonna make a video about Animu, and probably review Suikoden and Okage Shadow King, and I'm not gonna play Beyond the Beyond because screw that game. That game is terrible. That is. I don't want to start talking about that game, or else I'm gonna get mad. So, what have you guys been up to recently, just for fun?
I've been playing still a little bit of World of Warcraft Classic. That's a really fun MMO, but it's kind of dying off already. Like a huge chunk of the player base is quitting, so it's weird to like play a retro MMO that's dying so fast.
To be honest, it's not surprising. It's like it's one of these classic problems that you always have. A lot of people say, "Oh, was so bad, so good in the past. Games like that aren't made anymore," and then you realize that they're not real. They're not made for a reason anymore. Because we have moved on. We have gone past that point. So I don't really think we
totally. Yeah.
So it's understandable that this is slowly dying, and everybody has been clamoring. But the big problem with that specific game is definitely that especially the hardcore fan base has been kind of overhyping this, very vocal, and it's not really that great. So it's kind of hard. I mean, I remember playing a bit of the original World of Warcraft. Then it came out through a friend, and my brother has been playing this game basically since launch for this whole entire time, and he enjoys it. But he has said that he's not going into Classic because he sees no reason in Classic. And if a hardcore player like that says that, you can really tell you that's something about that. You know.
I heard a quote that I really loved. It said, World of Warcraft Classic came out back in an age when chat rooms were still a brand new invention. Like, the whole point of that game back in the day was just that it was one of the first really polished MMORPGs. Like, in 2020, it's just not nearly as, like, amazing or appealing anymore. We've progressed so far past it.
Yeah, it's clear. There was actually a time frame in World of Warcraft where a lot of people said they only played it because a lot of their friends from a long time there are still there and they can keep up with them, keep tabs on them, just chat a bit. So for some, it became a very expensive chat room. So it's understandable that a lot of people still have some good feelings. And I don't think it's necessarily a bad game. It's just...
It's,
Again,
they've already improved upon it so much and released so much more content. And when did it come out? Like 2004 or something?
Yeah. It was like November 2004.
Yeah, it's been 16 years since then. I mean, yeah, it's one of those things where like people are probably really nostalgic for it, but at the same time, they've already have a better version available, so why would you go back and play it when the reason you played it probably isn't justified anymore? I guess. I don't know. I've never played WoW. I thought about playing it one time, and then I just figured, nah.
Anybody who's like interested in trying out an MMORPG, I just cannot recommend it enough. Final Fantasy XIV right now, I genuinely think this Final Fantasy XIV is the best MMO in the world right now. It has the most classes, it has the most friendly community, it has literally like 1,000 hours of quest lines you can do. Like, Final Fantasy XIV is so good. So I don't know why anybody would play WoW when FF14 exists.
If they don't like Japan or the anime.
That's not really a big deal, actually. As far as I can tell, the game is not so much Japanese in its nature.
Yeah, but I feel like if people don't like Final Fantasy, they're probably just going to be put off. Maybe they won't. I don't know.
They did do an entire expansion basically in feudal Japan, and one of the classes is samurai. I will say it definitely has some heavy Japanese undertones. If you were particularly xenophobic, I could understand not liking the game.
Yeah, but I think that, well, especially the xenophobic people just don't want to play MMOs in the first place.
Yeah, talking to people, hell no.
So no, but yeah, I hear a lot of good things. The only problem that keeps me away from it is the subscription, and I don't have the money for that. But maybe I come back. I heard some weird things about the summoner class having some hitbox issues, but other than that, nothing bad as of now.
You know, the only MMO I ever played was like a few days of Wizard 101 when I was in like elementary school. I remember none of it, except I think I was a fire wizard person, and it was just... I wonder if that's still going. I don't really care.
It seems like a lot of MMOs kind of live for years and years and years. Like, it's weird to me that Guild Wars, I believe Guild Wars still exists. Like, the original servers, like 15 years, something still up. I think a lot of stuff like EverQuest, I know people still play the original EverQuest like 27 years later. It seems like some of those, they build up a community that never fully dies.
You guys remember? You guys ever hear of Anarchy Online?
Oh yeah,
I heard about it. I don't know what it is, but I've heard a lot about it.
Apparently, it's like a space Mamorpaga, but like it's been going since 2001, and like there's only one server, and I just have to imagine if people still play that, what's it like for them? Are they just like wandering around a mostly dead universe and just doing whatever they want?
I bet that's what the way it is. I played there's those hacked servers for the original Phantasy Star. You can still play the original Phantasy Star online over the internet, and these like German hackers called Stack actually keep a server running, and you can play it, and it's the same people who have been playing it now for 20 years, and you can log on and play with them, and they're all like level 1 million dudes, and their faces are literally giant laser cannons. Like, everybody is so decked out, and they still just play this freaking game all day long.
That's insane.
For some,
Could you imagine if they made
right.
like a Final Fantasy 14 classic server where they like brought back the original build that was so bad they destroyed it?
Somebody asked them that. 100%. Somebody actually asked the developers, will you ever do a classic server of the original version? And all of the developers laughed at them. Like, literally were like, no, like the original game sucked. And no matter how much people ask us to bring it back, we will never do it.
They made the sun into a dragon and blew up the world. They're not bringing it back. They worked hard on that cutscene.
I do love that
cutscene.
cutscene.
Not bringing it back.
So yeah.
WoW classic. What about you, Nightmare? What have you been up to?
What have I been up to? I checked out a few games that were interested. Like I was checking out the new DLC for Frostpunk, the last fall. I think it's called. It's an interesting twist on the original game. If you not know what Frostpunk is, it's a kind of city management game combined with a survival game where you have to basically survive an eternal, impossible winter when the world decides humanity has to die, and you have to fight against this cold and make pretty harsh decisions to survive. And they now released this DLC that gives you the opportunity to see how the people already suffered through creating these generators that keep the people warm. And you have to make more decisions on that and have to build these. And that's really interesting, too. So it's basically a game that consistently asks you moral questions like, do you want to have children work? Do you want to use slave labor? Do you want to decide to chop off people's body parts to keep them alive? These kind of questions.
So it's Papers, Please, but Metro. And SimCity.
In a way. It's really interesting. It has many interesting ways to play. I like it. The irony is that despite the game is being about that it's getting colder and colder, my CPU gets only hotter and hotter the longer the game goes on. So while my people are freezing, I'm kind of baking.
I've heard great things. Oh my gosh. And I've actually seen the trailer. I thought it was called like Last Autumn or whatever, but yeah, that
Last Autumn.
I'm actually thinking about buying it. Something about that DLC trailer, like seeing the world not snowy, has really made me like finally want to be like, all right, I think I'm gonna finally pick it up.
Let me check.
It's pretty good. I haven't yet tried one of the endless scenarios where you have to build the generator. I think this is where you can build the generator and then transition into a normal game, but I'm not sure about this. I have to check this. But it's pretty interesting. I can definitely recommend it.
Ooh, that's pretty. I looked at the trailer right now. It actually looks really nice. That building looks like a steam engine with fire coming out of it. That's neat. I've actually had Frostpunk on my wish list for a while, but it's like $40 or something. I don't know.
I think there's a discount right about now, so.
Yeah, but I just bought like $35 worth of Yu-Gi-Oh cards, so no.
Okay. But yeah, that's a thing that I have tried this week, and other than that, just recording some footage and apparently carrying old women over streets. That's what I do apparently now.
Yep.
So what are you up to?
I don't really have a comment on the old woman thing, but yeah, Frostpunk.
I'm at heart a scout. Kind of.
They have the Boy Scouts in Germany?
No. At least not that I remember.
Shame, I could have made a joke with Jojo Rabbit or something like that.
No, please not.
That's a good movie.
One moment.
What have you been playing this week, Hoodley?
Well, I actually... It's kind of related to what I said earlier about taking a long time to play the games. A few days ago, I found this company called Chemco on the Switch eShop. And they make budget RPGs. It seems like they've been making like one every single month since the thing came out. And in October of last year, they started making these things called pocket-size RPGs. So I played the first one. They're just $5, and I played the first one called Archlion King. Took me about 5 hours, give or take. And it's basically just, the experience of a full RPG, but squeezed into a little tiny, super itty-bitty pocket of like 5 hours, give or take, where you can just go through it and be like, yeah, okay, that was satisfying enough. I'm glad about that, because sometimes I think the main reason that I just don't finish a lot of RPGs because they take so long, and when I finally do get through one a lot, I go to another one, and then I go to another one, and it's just this endless string of never finishing them. So, sometimes I just want to feel like I beat one. And so I picked up the Archlion Saga, something like that. Yeah, it's Saga. And I beat it in like 5 hours, and I'm like, that was neat. That was neat. That was satisfying to play through. And I'm probably going to make a video on it and the other pocket RPG they have, because it was surprisingly good.
Dude, I'll be honest, that concept is really smart. That's like something I never would have thought of. I was like, purposely being like, look, this is a cheaper game and it's a little bit shorter, but it's still really, really fun. I actually might pick that up. That sounds really fun. Of a little 5-hour RPG. Like the idea of an RPG I can beat in a day, like a random Sunday. That sounds awesome.
I mean, there are some that already exist, like Chrono Trigger.
Yeah.
That's the only one I can think of right now. Suikoden 1, if you don't, you just like play it from right when you get up. But yeah, it's not like the concept itself is super new. I mean, like before PS4 came out, and like probably back before the PS3, you had like those mid-shelf games, like especially on the PS2. That just has so many games. They release, below the full price games, and they're like, hey, we're not full price, but you can still have fun with us, and we don't cost as much. So have some fun. And I like that idea. I think we should bring back budget games. And I was just happy to see it. So yeah, Archlion Saga. And the other game they have is called the Everdark Tower, and I hear it's actually better from the few reviews that I found. So I'm looking forward to playing that one.
Makes you wonder if we could do a RPG like that.
Oh, I did.
Okay.
I've had RPG Maker MV for, I don't know, like a year or so now. So I tried making an RPG. It wasn't super good. It was just like full of stock assets, and that was fine. But like I did try to make one that lasted about 2 hours. It was something about a sandwich. I can't remember what it was about, but yeah, I actually did make one.
You had the balls to create a role-playing game about a sandwich.
I mean, no one else was going to play it. It's my game. I can make it about whatever I want. I could make it about a penguin made of black licorice who has to fight an evil pastry. I don't know. I'm just thinking about food.
That's okay. I once created an RPG Maker game where you played Mozart, the robot on a quest of survival.
Pretty good. I think The only thing I made with RPG Maker is one time I decided to try and make my own Final Fantasy, and it was basically like the further adventures of Cloud. And so I had like Cloud break back into Midgar and like fight a bunch of new mutants and stuff. And a lot of it was stock like stuff from this RPG Maker like bootleg version I downloaded, but it was fun.
Yeah. I think the assets are not necessarily what makes a game. I think it's what you put in, how much you balance it, what kind of story you want to tell. This is actually weirdly how the German RPG Maker community killed itself, because they had absurd standards and were consistently basically attacking other developers, telling them your game sucks because you use stock assets and you have no custom combat system. And a lot of people were just demoralized for that, so they just left.
I mean, you have to remember, RPG Maker is a good baseline tool, and if you want to make a game with it, you can, and you can, you can customize it. If you are going to publish a game made with RPG Maker, I'd recommend, like, unless it's free or something, I don't know, but like if you do plan to publish it, I do think it would be a good idea to actually try and make some custom assets.
Yeah, of
aside
course,
from the story and stuff like that. Because, there are actually a lot of good RPG Maker games out there, like Lisa and Ghost Hospital. I can't remember if that's out right now or not. I've got a couple in my Steam library. There are like Yume Nikki, that's another good one. Mad Father, Misao. They've got a lot. It's just... It does. I can't remember where I was going with this.
I can't remember. I stumbled upon it a while ago, but there's actually RPG Maker competitions each year where everybody actually submits their own custom creations and people get to vote on which one they like the most. And a lot of times after the competition's over, they'll usually put the full RPGs up for free. You can just download them and check them out and see what people make. And at one point, somebody had made like a total knockoff of Pokemon. Except you had like little robot mech cyborg things. So you had like Cyborg Battler, and it was so freaking good. It had hand-drawn custom art for a lot of the sprites and stuff. It is insane when you realize that it's a free game that somebody just made in their spare time.
That's insane.
Yep, but what people do for art.
Yeah. Actually, now that I have Krita, I could make custom pixel art.
That's nice. Maybe we sit together and build something for like a 2-hour adventure.
Yeah. And then we can see if Kemco is willing to publish it. Because again, $5, and you get like...
I see companies...
Not a bad experience, honestly. I beat it last night. It took me like 2 sittings.
I see companies on Steam release RPG Maker games all the time, and ironically, a lot of them are of slightly erotic nature for some reason.
I'm pretty sure I know the reason.
Yeah, I know the reason too. It's just, you could do a little bit more than that. I mean, I'm not complaining. I'm just saying, you don't have to.
Press A to hump. No, but anyway, so...
I would actually pay money to see that in a game. Just to see it.
That needs to be the name of the game. The name of the game is just press A to hump. And it's like, well, now I have to buy it.
Okay.
I don't think the game is made in RPG Maker. It looks really simple. It looks like, I don't want to say higher. It's it's $5, so you can't expect much. The combat's very simplistic, but the story is actually kind of nice, and the graphics, they kind of look like a Game Boy Color sort of, but like with a lot more options for color and better resolution. But yeah, Archline Saga, Everdark Tower, and the rest of the games they have on there are like they don't look as weird, but they're like $13 for the rest of the individual budget RPGs they release. So yeah, I'm gonna make videos on those because honestly, I want to sing their praises because it actually isn't. They actually aren't bad.
That's good.
All right. All right, so I guess we can move on to the questions. Most of them are from the tweet that Dreamcast Guy sent out. Thank you very much.
My pleasure. My pleasure. Thanks everybody for asking such fun questions.
All right. You want to pick one out and we can start answering them?
Yeah, 1 second here. I'm pulling it up. Let's see here. The first one is by Joshua Rogers and says, say you're in charge of VR at Nintendo. What will you see in hardware, UI, and games?
Oh, we got like 4 questions. Jeez.
Yeah, well, this guy asked a bunch of people asked a bunch of questions. The funniest one is definitely, are you worried PlayStation Guy will snake your woman? I just been so long.
Okay.
So long since I've heard that term. It's such a funny, like, Texas term. Like, don't let that boy snake your woman. Like, no, I don't think anybody's going to snake my woman.
I've never even heard of that term.
I think it's one of those very particular Southern terms because I guess we're so afraid of snakes down here.
That's what I figure people in Texas just step on them.
It's true. That's why we all wear boots for protection. I don't know. Anytime I see people ask about VR and Nintendo, I don't think Nintendo really cares about VR. I know they've done a little
Virtual
bit
Boy
with Labo, and yeah, they tried with the Virtual Boy, but look how fast they abandoned Virtual Boy. It had 16 games. They like canceled that thing so fast.
22, I think. I think there's 22.
I thought there were 16. Well, maybe it's just 16 in English. I don't know about any in Japan.
Could be. Could be. But I
kind of want to see them make a second Virtual Boy, just to be like, hey, we got better technology now. It's not all red and black. Like, that'd be kind of funny. Probably wouldn't really work, and they'd probably implement something that isn't necessary, that makes it really hard to make games for them, and it probably wouldn't be as powerful. So I think maybe augmented reality would work better.
The problem with Nintendo is that they want to go for affordability and capabilities, and the problem is VR technology is really expensive even now.
Why is the Switch $300? Like, can't you get a PS4 for the same price?
That's true, but that's not the point in Nintendo's cases. You know, it's not necessarily about this. It's about affordability and usefulness. You know, they tried a lot of experimental things, and they know that usually doesn't really 100% work, so they have to work it into the system. That's why you get like the HD Rumble thing that is actually kind of advanced, but
that is pretty cool. It's just kind of like, what are you gonna do with that?
I don't know, but the VR thing, I don't know. Nintendo is, I'm not sure if they are interested in that or if they think maybe the time is over or they don't have that. I think the bigger problem is that they would have to increase the sensitivity on motion controls, and I'm not sure if they're willing to do that. I don't know.
I'd remake Yoshi's Safari. That's what I would do if I was in charge of Nintendo VR. I'd remake that Yoshi FPS game from the Super Nintendo. That's what I'd do.
I just want to see VR Pokemon Snap. Pokemon Snap VR would be so sweet.
That's actually a good idea.
Wouldn't that work well in augmented reality too? Because that takes less power. Like, you could walk around like Pokemon Go, but except, you know, it doesn't suck. And, you know, like, if you see a tree or something like that, they could display Pokemon hanging from it and just having a chill time. You could take a picture.
I think that would work really, really well. I'm not sure. I feel like that would be a short-term kind of thing. I feel like if they did a Pokemon Snap, they'd probably want to do it as a VR thing, just because I feel like then they could sell it as like, this is free form inside the Pokemon world. You can wander around and take photographs of any creature you see. I don't know.
Yeah, but wouldn't you also be moving around in, you know, your physical, actual space?
That
be kind of awkward.
On the system, kind of. It's very tied to the game. Some of these games allow you to move with a controller. Some say you have to have a large room. It's dependent on you on
what
focusing.
if they made a
what you
VR
want.
Metroid?
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. Yeah, that would be fitting. I think the whole visor thing. Yeah, that's actually a pretty good one.
That'd
Well,
be
especially
yeah.
because we learned how much VR aiming is surprisingly intuitive. If you've tried Resident Evil 7 VR, it's actually easiest and fastest to play that in VR, just because where you're looking is where you're aiming. So yeah, I totally love the idea of like solving puzzles and shooting things with my Metroid VR. Man, yeah, hell yeah.
That'd be cool.
Yeah, that's a pretty good idea.
All right, there's quite a few questions to get through, so let's try and usually we get very few questions, so we usually talk about them for way longer. But let's next question. It says, mind if I read it?
Yeah, please do, please do.
All right. How can indie devs, publishers, and YouTubers be better peers? Don't be twats.
That's a good one. Yeah.
I actually think that they're already very good peers. As a YouTuber who talks to a lot of indie developers and big publishers, I think that they already really lay down the groundwork. If anything, I think that YouTubers need to do more work. I spend a lot of time building up like a repertoire to make sure I can communicate with all these different developers. And when I talk to other YouTubers, I realize they're not doing this. A lot of times YouTubers just like, they only talk to companies when they want a game. And then normally they don't even say please and thank you. I think if anything, like there just needs to be more respect on our side of the fence. Like these guys are literally working their entire lives to make games for us. Like I think it's important, like to build up that bridge so we can like hear their stories.
Man, if I could just like talk to the guys who make Shovel Knight, I'd do that. I wouldn't even need like a promo code for whatever game they're making next, which I'm excited for because Shovel Knight's like one of my favorite games ever. But I'd be fine just talking with them because they seem like neat guys.
Yeah, just send them a mail. It usually
seriously.
works.
If you send them an email, especially if you send an email and say what you want, a lot of times if you just tell them like, hey, I would love to just have 30 minutes of your time to interview. I randomly get to talk to some really, like obviously I got to talk to David Jaffe, the creator of God of War and Twisted Metal. He like did a 2-hour talk with me on my channel. That was crazy. I recently got to have a long private talk with Dan Paladin, the guy who invented Castle Crashers. Super nice, totally normal guy. Just got to talk to him about the indie game business over the last 10 years. A lot of times these people want to talk to people. So if you just even email them a lot of times, they'll be like, hey, I'd love to email you. I'm willing to send you the questions beforehand. It'd just be an honor to talk to you. A lot of times they'll do it.
That's neat.
Yeah, I can only recommend this. I see this all the time, not only with YouTubers, I see this also on Discords, on Twitters, where people are like, why companies aren't listening to us? Maybe you're just not sending them emails, you're not really addressing them, you're only complaining and screaming at Twitter hashtags. Maybe just really start a conversation. Or if they don't want to listen, if you want to go that, there's also activism. You know, like if you really don't like a policy, maybe just start a demonstration in front of a headquarter. That sometimes helps. You know, I would like to do that against things like loot boxes and stuff like that, because I'm not okay with that. I would be totally fine to communicate this, but you know.
I mean, if it helps, I think there are already several gambling commissions kind of on your side with that. So
yeah, that's true, but the problem is not that they are on my side. It's the fact that the companies still don't want to listen because they know what kind of profits they can make.
Yeah. So, yeah, they're just evil. Well,
sometimes, but it's also, I think a lot of times the weird thing is that these guys don't realize that what they're doing is upsetting us. I've actually talked to people who make cell phone games occasionally, and they have no idea that people are unhappy with it. Like I've talked to people who work on games that make hundreds of millions of dollars, and sometimes they're like, people don't like our game, and it's like, well, it's got really predatory microtransactions, and they're like, what do you mean? Like they never even heard that, because they're not looking for random tweet replies. Like they don't even know that people are upset. It's just like, oh, we built this giant profitable machine. We don't hear the negative feedback. So I think sometimes being able to like step inside their bubble and talk to them is important.
It's also the fact that this specific economy system that we're following is also one thing where we're just looking for profit specifically, and that often leaves things on the table like morality that we often overlook, and some people might not be even aware of how much damage they're doing. So it's always nice to give a bit of feedback, you know?
I miss the PS2 era. You couldn't sell loot boxes then.
Yeah,
No,
but
That was just a side comment. I just
It's true. I only thought about this a couple of years ago, but we sort of had DLC and microtransactions in a way back then. Of like, one of the things they would do is so many RPGs back then would have hidden items all over the place, and the only way to find them was to buy the strategy guide. And then a lot of times the strategy guide was written by the game developers. It was definitely a giant like trap of like, we'll sell you the game for $60 and then we'll sell you the strategy guide for $20, and you need the $20 strategy guide.
yeah,
that was a thing.
Yeah.
And on top of that, we in PC.
Wait, how do we get to talk about this? We're supposed to be talking about. Never mind. You just keep going.
Okay. But yeah, we had these kind of things with expansions on the PC market for a long time, and they still exist. But to be honest, it has been kind of become a bit weird. I mean, the only real expansions we kind of get is Sims expansions, and I'm kind of not so down for them anymore.
Because EA?
No, not just because of EA, because
it's
they
because
cut them
of EA.
They cut them into more and more small pieces. That's the real problem. It's like they don't package them in effective, quantifiable ways anymore, and smaller and smaller incremental steps where it becomes like, this is starting to not be much different than they sold on their store single items for like $3, and it's starting more and more to become like these larger packages for slightly more money, but with still not much content in them. And that's really what upsets me on Sims games, because the elements that they add are not necessarily bad. They still try to give you an experience, but it's just this segmenting of content, this piecemeal sale. That's really not what I really like. And yes, I don't like EA, but I don't have to repeat this consistently, you know?
And if you would like to tell indie developers what you like, remember, they're people. They're not like they're not just like automated machine game maker things. They're people. Show them some respect. Don't just ask them for things because you feel entitled or anything like that. Just be nice to them. That's really all. That's really all it is. Just be nice. They're people. Talk to them. Maybe, I don't know.
Indie devs are really, really nice. I feel like indie devs are also small enough that they really appreciate a kind word. Pretty much every indie developer I've ever talked to is just like so overwhelmingly thankful just to like occasionally get a kind word.
Yeah, so do that if you want to do that. Treat indie devs like that. Just say like, if you like their game, let them know. It'll make them happy.
I think this is an essential problem that we have with this kind of distant relationship to this, because you know, if you go to like your doctor's office and say you do a great job, and they're like, thank you, that's really appreciative. And I think we don't do that with all the people who interact with our life and produce something for us or offer us a service, and especially with game developers, we don't really do that much. So it's nice to give something back. They really need this kind of appreciation.
And also be sure to appreciate their team managers. I think that's what they're called, because they have hard jobs. They all work really hard to make really good games. So thank you, indie developers, for making cool stuff.
There's this indie dev I randomly discovered a couple of years ago named 10 Ton Games. And clearly what happened with 10 Ton is they made a couple twin stick shooters, and they just made this super good like control style. Like they just mastered really good tight aiming with twin stick shooters. And now they've just made a ton of them of like, okay, this one you're like a future cop and you're trying to fight your way up this tower of a bunch of androids. All right, so we're going to use the twin stick controls we already have, but totally new art style. All right, now we're going to do one that's like a retelling of like Lovecraft. Oh, excuse me. Like they did one called Nikolai Tesla versus H.P. Lovecraft. And it's just like a mix of like sci-fi fantasy and monster mythos. And I don't know. I think it's interesting sometimes to just see like the tiny indie devs where they like mastered one.
Wait, they made Jidge?
Yeah, they made. Yeah, exactly. I love that. Or Judge. I don't know how it's pronounced.
Neon Chrome, Crimson Land, Tennis in the Face. Oh, I've heard of these guys.
They're so good. And I actually talked to their team and said like, hey, I really love your games. And now, no joke, every time any of their stuff is about to come out, they just send me a code. Usually on like every console, they'll send me like a Steam code, a PS4 code, and a Switch code every time because they're like, hey, we know you're gonna love it. You'd buy it anyways. Like we'll send it to you, and maybe you can like give away a copy to your fans or something. Because they're a tiny indie dev. They're like, well, we're gonna keep making these games, and it's paying our bills. We want people to get them.
Nice.
Yep.
All right, so that's that question, right?
Yeah, here, let me skip down to here. I like this one here. What is the best remake, remaster game you've played? And what game do you wish would get remade for modern consoles? I'll let you guys answer that one first.
Okay. Nightmare, you want to go first, or should I?
Well, my answer is always the same. I want a Silent Bomber remake, but I'm never going to get one.
Hey, never say never. It might happen.
On the flip side, I actually got one of the head designers of CyberConnect 2 following me because of that, apparently, on Twitter. I don't know why, but...
Nice.
Yeah,
Very nice.
Yeah, that's...
Let him know you appreciate the games.
Oh, I have. The 20-year anniversary was a while ago, and I helped out a bit because, it's one of these games that you never get. But,
Yep.
But the best remake, I'm not really sure. I haven't played so many remakes, I think.
I feel like we should leave remasters out of this because it's just the same game.
Oh, not always. I mean, some upgrades were done. Like, I remember that they added at least a little bit extra voice acting on Planescape Torment. Not that you can do fully voice acting this game. It's just too much dialogue. Like, way too much.
The best novel you'll ever play.
Yes. But other than that, I don't know. Maybe it's because I always go back and play originals that I don't really mind re-releases or remasters or don't play them. I don't know.
I like remasters. I really like, I don't know, anytime a game gets a second chance to be like noticed by an audience. I really, really like the Crash Insane trilogy a lot. I grew up with those games, so they have like a special place in my heart. And I thought the fact that they kind of gave them like a uniform control style, obviously a fresh coat of paint graphically, I think it gave a lot of people like a real opportunity to see why Crash was famous in the first place. I really, really enjoyed that remaster remake.
I still need to get that because I remember playing like Crash 3 a lot when I was like 4, and I probably was terrible at it because I was like 4, but still, I could probably beat it now.
I think it's pretty fun. I think it's people act like that game is harder than it actually is. And the other half of this, a game I wish would be remade. The more I think about it, I really wish we'd get a full-blown remake of Silent Hill. The original Silent Hill is so psychologically freaky. I would love to see that in freaking 1080p.
Wasn't that Shattered Memories, or was that more of like a reimagining?
It's a reimagining, definitely, because I mean, there's no combat or anything in Shattered Memories. It's all just like running and puzzle solving.
It's a good game, though.
It is a good game for sure.
All right. Yeah, I would say Persona 4 Golden is the best remake I've played, but I haven't played the original version. So even though it's my favorite game of, like, tied for my favorite game of all time, right up there with Ape Escape 3 and the DS version of The World Ends With You, I can't say it. So I'm gonna say Odin Sphere Leftracer. Leftracer.
Ooh, good choice. Yeah.
Yep.
I don't speak Nordic, Norse, whatever. Because they actually included the original version with the Leftracer. And I just want to say this, Vanillaware, I freaking love them. They are like probably one of, if not my favorite developer working today. I love Muramasa Rebirth. I really want to play Dragon's Crown. Really want to play that. I really want to get Grim Grimoire for my PS2. But like Odin Sphere, man, that's fun. And they did so many things to improve upon it from the original game. Food was easier to grow. Your power meter was just for your like super big special attacks, so you didn't have to worry about wearing yourself out with normal attacks. The visuals are a lot sharper, which is great because I love their visual style. They just did a lot of things to make it faster and more enjoyable, and for that, I say it's my favorite.
I just appreciated that money isn't an inventory item anymore.
Yeah, that's weird. I tried playing the original version after the remake version. I can't, because the remake is just such a step up. I just can't go back to play the original version, even though it's on the same disc. They just improved it that much.
It's one of a few games I actually have a platinum trophy for, but it was sheer accident. I didn't expect that there were so little trophies on it.
As for a game I want remade, I want Panzer Dragoon Saga.
Ooh, yeah, heck yeah.
Because it costs like at least $500, and that's a shame. I don't think it's been re-released on anything. Like, it was such a good game. It was miraculously good. I played it on an emulator for a while back, and I was like, this game is amazing. It's probably as good as, if not better than, most of the PlayStation 1 legendary titles like FF everything and stuff like that. And it's just like, it's crazy to think that it was made by the same people who made Panzer Dragoon, the fantasy rail shooters. You go from that to a title that needed to be really good and was really, really, really good, but sold really poorly. Because we didn't have Sega Tasanjiro threatening to judo throw people over here to buy a Saturn, so it flopped.
The poor Saturn.
Saturn was kind of neat, honestly. I want one.
I'm glad. I got one about 7 years ago, and I didn't even see one before I bought one. I literally... I'd finished my Dreamcast collection, and I was like, okay, well, I guess I should get a Saturn now.
Good luck getting Panzer Dragoon Saga, because it's insanely expensive, and I kind of hate when really good games are really expensive. Like, I see a lot of average kind of games, like usually horror games or RPGs, that are really expensive, and a lot of the time they aren't really super great. But then you have Panzer Dragoon, which is incredible, and it's just really hard to play because you either need to pay through the nose to get it, and you also need a Saturn, or you can emulate it, which is easier, but, apparently emulation is piracy, which it isn't, but still, I want it remade. I want Sega to get the Yakuza team to remake it. And that's all I want.
I've heard that it's one of those games that's impossible to remake. The legend I've heard is that they had the source computer. They only had one copy of the source code on one particular computer. There was an office fire, and that particular computer got like burnt and washed. And since the game was just selling so terribly, they were like, no big deal. Like, we don't even care. And so they just like moved on to the next project. And now, like 15 years later, we're like missing it. But
That's a shame.
I mean, technically, it is possible to get it back, but that's a big issue. I looked into some of that lately. Technically, you can get at least a copy of the source code back if you run the code of the game through a decompiler. But I'm not sure if that would work, and you would probably have to specifically design one, so it would take a long time to do so, and it's probably not that worth. But
yeah, and I've heard you'd still have to remake part of the game, that it can decompile it, but you'll kind of have to sew it back together, so to speak. So
yeah,
you'd have to remake at least 20% of the game.
Didn't they
It's a
leak
big
source
effort.
code for like the original Kingdom Hearts and Final Fantasy VIII?
Final Fantasy VIII, yes. Kingdom Hearts, I didn't know that. The whole thing with StarCraft. It turned out that the StarCraft original source code, they just like lost it, and it turned out that it was sitting in somebody's desk. They sold it by accident at a yard sale or something, and the guy found it and gave it back to Blizzard.
That's
That's
at least
honestly
something.
kind of hilarious.
It's kind of ironic that they didn't need it for the remaster because they did it in the StarCraft 2 engine. What is still the Warcraft 3 engine, and I'm still angry about this.
All right. But yeah, that's what I want, because it's expensive and it's really good, and more people should play it. Go play Panzer Dragoon Saga. Emulate it or something, I don't know. Go play it. And also go watch the old Sega Saturn commercials from Japan, because they have a guy judo throwing people until they explode. And that's always fun.
And dating people. He would advertise the dating sims. They'd have this old Japanese man come on and go on dates with people. It was great.
Japan has really funny advertisements. I kind of hate how American ones kind of suck.
They only suck because they don't know what to do anymore.
I mean, in Japan, you
100%.
got gum advertised through a multi-commercial series with a guy just appearing long man. It's about gum, and it's just funny.
So recently, oh my god, that's so we were at a convention, and that they were selling that gum, and they had a little TV just showing the whole series of commercials, and I was like, what? Oh my, what is this?
Why can we not get commercials like that?
Okay, so there's only really most of the questions left here are pretty silly. There is one here that was to me that I wanted to answer, which is, if YouTube did not exist, where and what would you be doing today? I'm sure I'd still just be working retail. I did a lot of years at Target, a lot of years working at Walmart. I was in the book business for 10 years. If YouTube had not worked out, I'm sure I'd still just be there shelving books to this very day.
I'd probably just be on whatever the dominant video site is, because if you think about it, something like YouTube is kind of inevitable, and someone had to make it at some point. So if YouTube didn't exist specifically, I'd be doing the exact same things, just on a different website.
Oh god, I can imagine a world where Daily Motion reached domination. Oh god.
Right. Or what's really interesting is, I mean, if YouTube had not taken over, I bet what would happen is everything would be on Twitch. I bet Twitch would have been the streaming platform, and I bet they also would have done more consistent YouTube or video hosting. And I bet everybody would just go to Twitch for everything.
What do they call people who are professional Twitch streamers? Do they have a name?
I think
Or are they just called
them,
professional streamers?
They just call them streamers. Streamers are, I guess people still use the word influencer. I don't really like that word, but I think it's technically their term.
That sounds really evil.
There are very other opportunities. I don't know. Maybe we should coin something like, I don't know, moving
Twitcher?
Instagram model.
Twitchers.
I don't know. That sounds a bit twitchy.
It does sound pretty awful.
What would you be doing, Nightmare?
The same as here. It's like I don't know. I would still do the same thing. I mean, I'm sitting only here and doing on the side some backlog work for some companies, writing them emails. So I would probably just do that in the same way, you know.
All right. I'm gonna just like go through the rest of these questions really fast because people ask them. We don't get questions very often. I want to answer as many as we can. That good? Just short answers.
Sure. Machine gun.
Lightning round.
All right. What is your least favorite RPG mechanic, and what is your least favorite business practice in the gaming industry aside from microtransactions and loot boxes?
What was that? Least favorite RPG? Was that what it was?
No, least favorite RPG mechanic.
I don't like when games randomly take away a bunch of your characters. I really hate it. Only happens occasionally, but things where like one of your characters is like trapped on an island for like 2 hours of the story, and you just spend 2 hours not accomplishing the main quest, and it's like this didn't really add to the universe, and it really slowed things down.
All right. Least favorite business practice.
I definitely, I'm more and more against season passes. I feel like season passes are getting even bigger, and I hate the idea of like buying downloadable content before it's even begun development.
All right. My least favorite mechanic. My least favorite would probably be like supposed to lose battles because it's really sometimes it's really hard to tell whether it's either just a really strong boss and I'm under leveled, or if I'm supposed to lose and that's just how I continue the story. Because sometimes you lose on purpose because you think there's no way you can win, so it must be where you're supposed to lose, but then you get a game over and you're like, well, how was I supposed to know that? Or you don't know that it's a supposed to lose fight, and you end up wasting a lot of healing items that you were saving for later because you're like, oh my gosh, this person is so powerful. They must be like, I need to get past them. And then you end up dying anyway, and you don't get the items back. I kind of hate that. My least favorite business practice, crunch.
Yeah.
All right, Nightmare, how about you?
I don't like roaming encounters when you have no alternative to combat for gaining XP and stuff. This is really my pet peeve, where it's like, why would you put roaming encounters into a game so I can circumvent all of a combat, but don't give me an alternative to gain the XP, items, and money that I need? Like, that's counterintuitive. Just so I don't have to deal with random encounters, that's not really worth it, I think. That's really, and it's often very poorly executed, in my opinion. Going to make a video on that.
Okay.
And my least favorite business practice is the firing of staff after the game has been finished developing. That's always a fun one.
That's pretty bad. All right, next question. ¿Por qué no quieres ser mira compa que te doy miedo o que güey?
¿Qué?
I don't speak Spanish. Like, I took Spanish in high school.
I don't even.
Can't remember any of it. I'm going to run this through our old friend Google Translate and see what pops up. So let's see.
I think he used this as Google Translate as a joke because the Spanish, the way it's written here is not a normal sentence. I think he's saying, can we be friends, or are you afraid of me, or something like that. I think he's just being silly.
Yeah, I read the question, and I'm not going to answer it. That's a creepy thing. Moving on.
Yeah, that guy Jay, he's a nice guy. He does it silly since he knows that I speak a little bit of Spanish. He likes to ask Spanish questions.
All right.
Okay.
Major Blazer asks, how are you feeling when you found out it snowed here a couple weeks ago?
Oh yeah, it was very, very, very fun. Actually, my office has like a window backed up towards like a field. So when I woke up that morning and it snowed for like an hour, which in Texas is incredibly rare, I was very, very happy just to see the snow for a bit.
Yeah, same here. It pretty much never snows. I remember saying that we get snow like once every 4 years. And I think we got snow last year, so that was neat. Nightmare can't really answer this because Germany.
Oh, we
I
had
feel
we
like
had
it's
little
slow.
to no we had little to no snow this year. Like 1 day of snow as of now in my region, and yesterday my garbage bin was frozen, so I had to force it open. But that's the only thing I had to do.
All right. We've got only 2 things left. What's your favorite spoon? Asked by Dreamcast Guy's #2 fan.
That's a pretty funny name, and I don't know. I really like those big spoons, the giant kind that you like stir soup with.
All right. Nightmare.
This one that I'm holding right about now that you can see, that I used to eat my ice cream off, and I have ice cream. It's a tiny one.
Lucky. I like spoons that you throw.
Okay.
Final Fantasy IV joke.
Ah, yeah, I get that. Nice.
Hmm.
And the last one is by Alpha Omega Sin, which is pretty cool. And he says, titties.
Okay.
Agreed.
Fully agree. Yes, absolutely.
All right. And we actually got one on my YouTube channel. But we'll save that for next time. Sorry, Dudge, but we've been answering questions for a while, so we better get on to the topics.
Let's move.
Okay, we all good?
Sure.
Hell yeah.
Sweet. And the best part about taking a long time to answer questions is that I don't have to edit as much. So yay. What were we going to talk about? I can't remember.
You wanted something about GTA and Saints Row, I think.
All right, we were going to talk about GTA and Saints Row stories, like weird things that we've done in them. Who wants to start?
I got a good one. When Grand Theft Auto 5 had been out for about a year, and they released it on PlayStation 4, my buddy who's in the military for a long time, he's been in the military for I think 6 or 7 years, and so because of it, he's like he talks real serious. He's like a real nice guy, but he always has a real serious tone to his voice. We used to play every night for like 2 hours. We'd play GTA Online, and we're trying to do missions, and he would just be like yelling orders at me and stuff. We were doing this mission where we were trying to rob a bank, and we robbed the bank. We have like a briefcase full of money. And we're driving along. We're driving down the highway with our like briefcase full of money, and there's cops chasing us. And all of a sudden, these other players entered our game, and they had their own briefcase full of money, and they're driving down the highway next to us. And we're like, "Wow, this is like a really cool moment." And all of a sudden, my buddy was like, "We should kill them." I was like, well, no, we have like $1 million. We're good. And he's like, no, we have to get $2 million. So he starts blowing up all the cars on the highway all around us. And it was just this like really perfectly chaotic, like Grand Theft Auto moment of like, I don't know, greed and destruction and great graphics. And it was just one of those times that it really made me understand why GTA 5 is like one of the biggest selling games ever.
Actually, it's the biggest.
Yeah, right. The highest selling, what is it?
Piece of media
property?
ever.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
That's a.
It sounds like something out of a heist movie, like out of.
Oh my! We were screaming with laughter because it's just so stupid and so dumb, and the whole time we can hear the microphone of the other people, and they're like, "Stop shooting us, you idiots!" It was so fun.
What about you, Nightmare? You got any?
I mean, I have been in the GTA business since its first inception. Back when it was a weird top-down shooter thing, like that was fun. But it's kind of weird because the stories I have is mostly like how I got into these games. Like a friend of mine gave me a CD and just said, "Play it." I was like, okay, so I installed this, I run it through, and I'm not used to tank controls at this time. That was back when they had tank controls for some reason. And so the first few hours of the game, I spent basically crashing into everything out of accident and being hunted by a group of Elvis impersonators for some reason. Like, this went on for hours. I wanted to get away from these, but I had the problem that I wasn't good at vehicle driving, so I was just constantly running away from Elvis impersonators for some reason. Like, I don't know why.
I mean, were you in Vegas? I feel like that's where a lot of Elvis impersonators would be.
No, that was in the. I think it was in the first or second GTA, or in the weird GTA London version. There's a GTA London version for some reason.
If it was in the London version, that would make even less sense.
I know, but they existed. I don't know. They come. They run around in large groups, and always make
Yeah, total. I remember those guys. Yeah.
And I don't know what's the deal with them, but if you accidentally punch them, they attack you. I don't know what was the deal with them, but I was running away from them for a very long time. And at one point I realized I had made a game out of that, so that was pretty fun. Yeah. Other than that, I usually play these games with my brother. It's kind of one of these experiences where I'm like, I'm not really good at playing these, so I'm sitting down and having fun making comments and just sitting down. It's one of these cooperative experiences that we have, and we don't do that all that often anymore. So I cherish the time with my brother when I have this.
I wonder if they have any voice clips in case you kill one of the Elvis impersonators. It was like, Elvis doesn't live in the building. For each one you killed, they just say that.
I think they used to make a funny noise when they died. I don't think they said a specific sentence, but I think they went, oh.
Yeah, kind of in that sound range, I think. But yeah, early GTA is kind of weird. But yeah.
You ever play the Game Boy versions?
Yep.
I did, yeah. I beat the Game Boy versions, actually.
You ever play the Game Boy versions of Driver?
I did, yeah. They were really bad.
I think they're pretty, at the very least, they're very technically impressive.
Yeah, I don't know. I think there are some real technical gems on the Game Boy when you want to play some first-person shooter games.
What, you mean like the one Faceball?
Perfect
There
Dark?
more. There was a Doom port. There was like
wait, there wasn't
yes,
a Doom port for the original Game Boy.
I think it was for Game Boy Color.
Yeah,
there wasn't one. It was on the Game Boy Advance.
Really? I felt they tried this. I'm pretty sure they tried this.
Nah, the only first-person shooter on the Game Boy Color is a game called Tyrannosaurus Tex, where you shoot dinosaurs as a cowboy. And it didn't get released until, like, I think recently, like maybe in the past 2 years. Something like that.
I'm surprisingly up to date with Doom ports for some reason on consoles.
They port Doom to everything. If they would run it on a bar of soap if they could.
With some upgrades, you can actually play Doom on an Amiga. What is impressive as hell.
That's crazy.
I saw some video of this guy who like moved into a smart home, and the first thing he did was hacked his fridge so it could play Doom. And so on the door, instead of like telling you that you'd be out of eggs or milk, it's just Doom on the screen for no reason.
Sure, that's a good idea. Install Doom on everything.
Doom on anything. I guess the saying's true. If something has a CPU, someone will try to run Doom on it.
That's true.
I would not be surprised if they've made like a what's the word? A homebrew port of Doom for the original Game Boy. You can run it on a graphing calculator. Why not the Game Boy? Sure, why not?
I think somebody tried that. It's possible, yeah.
All right, Hoodley, what's your GTA or Saints Row memory?
Well, I'm the odd one out here because I don't play GTA. I tried playing some of the games. I just didn't like them. And then one day I played Saints Row the Third, and I had so much fun with it. It was so stupid and dumb. And I remember after I beat the main story, the first thing I did was strip off all my clothes, take that weird voxel tank, load up my low poly Mega Buster, and turn on invincibility codes. And then I just went on a rampage downtown, and then I blew everything up. The army came after me eventually, and then I popped out just completely naked and started shooting them in the head with my Mega Buster. And that's all I did. I ran over cars. I blew up buildings. I aimed my voxel tank at helicopters. I just blew everything up, and they couldn't hurt me. It was honestly pretty funny.
Yeah, I have by far the most of all the Saints Row games. Saints Row 3 was definitely the one I put the most time into.
And then during all of this, I went into a costume shop, or maybe it was, I don't remember where it was. But then I changed into the toilet. And then I still had the Mega Buster, and I just kept shooting things as a toilet. And then I called in like one of those hover bike things, and I got on the hover bike as a toilet to continue shooting things with my Mega Buster. That game is so freaking stupid. Man, that was fun. And then I called in my gang members, and they couldn't die, so that was pretty great. And then I got back to not being a toilet because I just make all of my custom characters female because I have that option. And that's pretty much the only memory I have aside from that time where I fought zombies for Burt Reynolds. That was weird.
You all do weird things for Burt Reynolds. I don't know why.
Rest in peace, Burt Reynolds.
The mustache.
You were awesome.
Yeah.
There's one other thing I did. I can't remember what it was, though. I think it was something about going around as that like partially inflated sex doll and just robbing gas stations. I don't remember what I was doing. That was a while ago.
I still try to wrap my head around the fact that one day my buddy played GTA 4, did a rampage in front of a hospital, got killed, got back up, and then a plane just crashed onto him. I don't know what happened here.
That's some crazy luck.
I had a time where I was playing GTA 3, and there was a mission where the mission started way up on the top of this building, and so I decided to just take a military helicopter and fly it up to the top of the building, land it there, and then walk into the little like begin cutscene, like little glowing area. So I did, and it starts the cutscene, but for some reason it didn't despawn my helicopter. So it's sitting there running in the background, and the rotary blade is running, and this guy is like giving me a dramatic speech of like, nobody can stop the mafia. The mafia is an impenetrable monster. And he walked straight to the rotary blade in the cutscene, and it chopped him up. And the game sat there for a second like, well, I don't know what to do. And then it just said mission failed. It just kicked me back. Like it just like ended the cutscene right there. Like, well, we don't know how to continue. All the characters are dead, so you have to start the cutscene over.
So developers, what do you learn? Despawn items out of your mission area when you want to have a cutscene. It's not a good idea.
Unless you're allowed to kill whoever's involved in the cutscene, in which case keep them because it's funny.
It was, yeah. It was also one of those things where even as it happened, I remember just sitting there being like, did I break it? Was I not supposed to do that?
Sometimes you're surprised what developers actually add to their games when something like that happens.
And sometimes they don't plan on it, and you get something like the Manimals. Those things are freaky. Remember the Manimals from RDR?
Don't think so.
They were like people, but they were over the animation skeletons for animals.
Oh god, this reminds me of
yeah.
some terrible things from The Sims.
Yeah.
Like, ooh. When the body of a baby tries to stretch over the body of a horse for some reason, that happened to me. Terrifying. Terrifying.
That's creepy. I think it was more like people were stretched over horse skeletons, like animation skeletons, and then you could still ride them.
Totally normal stuff.
Yeah, just nothing to see here. Just keep going.
Press A to hump.
Exactly. This is the true press A to hump experience.
I thought that would be Luigi's Mansion.
I didn't see that coming.
Yeah, wow.
Anyhow.
All right, is that it for our GTA memories? Y'all want to talk a little bit of PlayStation 5?
I mean, sure. That's all we've got to say. Sure. Let's talk about the PlayStation 5. Sure.
So currently there's a rumor going around that we don't really know if it's real or if it's fake, but it sounds like there may be a PlayStation 5 reveal event coming up in early February. So maybe even maybe 10 days from now. And so people are already beginning to speculate what we could see at it, because the rumor is that it could have lots of PlayStation 5 game reveals, that they're going to come out and be like, hey, here's your pizza cutter shaped box, and they're going to show games. So, what games?
I thought it looked more like a docking station, like for a '70s movie prop. Like, you know how they used to make those spaceship things? They would just make little models, and then they'd film those.
Yeah,
that's what it looks like.
It's certainly weird. I don't think the PlayStation 5 is going to look like that. I think it's just the dev kits, because they want to have maximum cooling. But if this reveal event is real, I'm really hoping we see the biggest game. I'm hoping we see is definitely Horizon Zero Dawn 2.
Wouldn't that be Horizon 1 Dawn?
LOL.
That's the best I could think of. I know that was bad going in. I said it anyway.
But yeah, I think this is definitely one of the bigger games that they're going with. I mean, there's still some other games that they could go with, like I think Last of Us 2 is still a pretty big title that they want to get out there. I'm pretty sure they make a re-release for PlayStation 5. I'm very sure about that.
I'm gonna be really mad if Ellie's girlfriend dies.
I mean,
I don't think they will. That's such a terrible trope. I don't think they'll do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, The Last of Us is kind of like Oscar bait, the video game. I wouldn't put it past Naughty Dog to do it, but if they do, I'm gonna be mad. And I didn't even like The Last of Us, so it's just like, yeah, let the fictional lesbian immune to zombie viruses be happy. I'd appreciate that.
That's such a weird sentence to say, though.
Video games are freaking weird,
but
dude.
I do agree, though, but it's just a weird sentence to say from a structural point.
That's why I like saying it.
Okay.
But yeah, personally, the game that I want to see most is Ghost of Tsushima. Because I love Sucker Punch. I love Sly Cooper. I liked Infamous. Haven't played Second Son. But I want to see Ghost of Tsushima because it's like open world samurai game by the guys who made Sly Cooper. Yeah, I'm down for that. Gimme, please. Also make it backwards compatible with all the PlayStations because that'd be super convenient.
Yeah, I think that they're probably going to try and show, because I think both those, I think that's still going to be is confirmed a PlayStation 4 game. I think at this reveal event, they're probably going to try and show all new stuff. I really, one of the speculation I've seen going around is that we could see Final Fantasy 16, because normally Square Enix likes to tease the next Final Fantasy about 3 years before they release it. And so it's not too soon. It'd be really cool if they came out and said Final Fantasy 16 for the PlayStation 5.
Yeah, and then drop the mic and just walk off stage.
I would think they would do something like that. But
remember when they were what was that thing? They were telling the price of the PlayStation 1 and it was like $299, and then they just walked off stage.
You know, that's a ballsy move. But yeah, I think there's also some opportunity. I mean, we're still waiting on the next God of War game. That would be a good time to release it, or at least to announce it.
True. Yeah, there's a lot of rumors that that they basically started it the second they were done with the first. When they were done with God of War 4, the rumor is like God of War. I don't even know what the hell they'll call it. God of War Ragnarok, whatever it'll be called. The rumor is it's
I
been
call
heavily,
God of War 4 Beard of War, and then what would 5 be?
it'll be Dad of War.
Nah, that wouldn't.
It's definitely going to
Bigger
be.
Beard of War. Yeah, sure.
No, it's Battle of the
Beard.
Beards. It's Battle of the Beards. Where in Norse mythology, everybody has a beard.
Kratos can never compete with what's that one? Rama.
Oh yeah. The king
That
of all
guy's
beards.
crazy
the
beard.
god of beards.
But yeah, I think they're going with that because the story isn't over. They really want to push the next step on that one. So I can see that they basically started with the development already. And,
I mean, didn't the same thing happen with God of War 2?
What, from God of War 2 to God of War 3, just kind of back to back?
Yeah, that happened kind of. But
Yes, it's just a parallel.
I know they did that with Final Fantasy 7, or sorry, with Final Fantasy 8 and Final Fantasy 9. They made them pretty much in conjunction. They were like finishing 8 as they started 9 to make sure they could have them ready a year apart.
yeah,
I feel nothing. What are you saying?
I'm confused for a moment. Go on.
I really hope that they use that all the power to show off a remake of the Ape Escape trilogy. They should do that. They should use the new power and show it off by reviving an IP that people have been asking for. We got Crash, we got Spyro. Why not? And we have like visual representations of those. They're fresh in people's minds. Maybe a good thing would be to remake those old games as a trilogy too, and then use that to show off the power of the PS5.
It'd be pretty fun. There is a rumor. I can't remember what they call it. There's a thing going around. I've seen people say though. It's called like Ape Escape Reboot or something. The
Apes
rumor
will
was
escape.
is that I have no idea. I've heard people talk about it. I'm not really a big Ape Escape fan. I've played them all, but they're also kind of games that I just like. I beat and went, all right, that was fun.
Yeah, they're fun. I want them to make them again because I don't know. I like them a lot. But I hope they show off those titles like Ghost of Tsushima. They have a lot of games that they could definitely show off, and if they do show them off, that'd be pretty great. Get people excited, like, oh, the PS5 is coming out. You could play Ghost of Tsushima and Horizon something Dawn or Horizon Zero Dawn 2, which sounds weird. You could play The Last of Us Part 2. You could play all these games. Check it all out. Get ready for the PS5. That's what they. I hope that's what they do.
But yeah,
Spider-Man 2.
Yeah, they should really go with talking about this because they want to release this in like what holiday season, so they should start giving the people something to buy. Otherwise, it would be a pretty sad moment when you're releasing the game and realize, but we have no games. What happens if you do that? Probably not good things.
You end up like the Sega Saturn.
Yeah, exactly. Well, the rumor, I think Sony has confirmed it now. The PlayStation 5 will play PlayStation 4 games. So I do think that's probably going to help it out quite a bit. If as soon as they come out on stage, they're like, hey, like, don't worry. If you're somebody who owns like 400 PlayStation 4 games, well, congratulations. Now you have 400 PlayStation 5 games.
Yeah, that's always a good thing to have for consoles. Like, oh, you want an immediate library? Here, this can play all the ones from the previous console, and you got a handful like specifically made for the new one. So you could trade in your old one, get the new one, and that boom, instant software library. That's a great thing to have.
Well, if that's the case, I have a theory why the dev kits look like that. Maybe they really just found a way to make it cost efficient to just integrate some parts of a PlayStation 4 in the system, and they want to separate this and have not found a way to efficiently combine this. So maybe that's the reason why they look like that.
Maybe.
I think it's just a cooling thing. I think it's that they're having like 20 or 30 of these in every studio. You just need an efficient way to stack up 20 consoles during testing.
Yeah, but I'm not so sure. I think the design is not very helpful for the cooling in the first place. I mean, the way it's stacked can actually cause a ventilation issue, so it basically heats itself off. So I'm
but
not
you got
sure.
the big thing cut out of it, so it could vent in front of it, I guess.
I mean, that's not really how this works, but okay.
I don't know. I don't know how dev kits work, man. I mean,
they're technically just consoles with more debug options. Technically speaking.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know how they work, but yeah.
Anyhow, anything else for PlayStation 5?
What do you think are some games that they might show off that are just like completely out of left field? Like I don't know, just wild speculation for something they might show off as some early exclusives or something. I don't know.
I'm not. It's hard to even guess. I mean, there's so many rumors. I think we may see Deep Down. I do think that Blue Point is working on a big project. I do think that it'll probably be something like Dark Souls, Demon Souls. I think they're going to be doing like a remake of Demon Souls. It's kind of hard to guess, though.
Yeah, it's really difficult. The last few years were full stock of a lot of games, and it's the surprises keep coming. So it's really hard to really predict what's going on. I don't know. Maybe Sega's saying, "Hey, we want to show off our new Sonic game." Who knows? You know.
Or maybe it would be better to just not make any more Sonic games and I don't know, make a new Jet Set Radio. Or Crazy Taxi.
Who knows?
Or more that. Yakuza. Oh, they could make a new Virtua Fighter. And then make it exclusive to PS5 and show off the power. I don't know.
I don't really understand why they ever gave up on these.
Neither do I. Like, they have all these great game series.
I mean, I can only assume that they didn't really sell well, but I don't know. Maybe they thought they couldn't compete in the 3D fighter market?
That's so weird because, Virtua Fighter, I'm just going to say this right now. Virtua Fighter, it's the best 3D fighting game. You get your freaking Tekkens and Soul Caliburs just right out of here. They got nothing on Virtua Fighter.
Could also be that they were too technically intensive, like that the player base was like, this is really complicated and I don't know how to play this.
Surprisingly, it's not. You only got like 3 buttons. You got a punch, kick, a guard thing. It's surprisingly not that complicated to play. All the combos are like really short. It's not like Tekken where you have combo strings that stretch across the entire screen. It's like maybe 5 buttons. I don't know.
Well, we'll see what happens. Who knows? Maybe it comes back.
And then it comes back as a PS5 exclusive, and they're like, hey, check it out. We got Virtua Fighter 6.
I already know that but the PS5 stands are already enraged because they said that they want to put Horizon Zero Dawn on PC.
Oh, yeah, that's so funny to me.
Yeah, it's kind of to me, too. It's like, why are you complaining? You already have the game. What's the big deal, man?
Well, it's also the type of thing of like, hey, this is free money for Sony. So, like, if they 2 years after release they sell a game again on PC, that just means that the next PlayStation exclusive game is going to be even better. Like, nobody is losing. How could you possibly be mad?
I see it like that. It's just the opportunity to expand in a slightly different market and make a little bit more money.
Territorialism? Is that the word?
It's more brand loyalty that is kind of weird for some people.
Twatishness? That's probably not a word, but I'm using that to describe it.
It seems like a real word.
But yeah, it's kind of weird. I don't try to get into that too much. It's not worth it most of the time. Just play what you want to play. I would be fine if I would be fine if every game would be releasing on every possible console and platform, if it is technically possible.
I don't think that'd be very good.
I don't know. I think this works pretty fine for the PC market.
Yeah, if everything's available on one system, it'd kind of be hard to have any competition.
No, you had far more competition, actually. Like the ultimate amount of competition.
I don't feel like it would work that way, but whatever. I'd be fine with it. I'd be fine with Horizon Zero Dawn coming to PC. If you don't got a PS4, boom, you can play it. It's a good game. Play that game. If you're listening to this, you haven't played Horizon, go play Horizon. It's got giant robot dinosaurs and a bow that lets you shoot lightning tripwires.
And some really good voice acting, like really, really good, really emotional, really good.
And also giant robot dinosaurs. That's the main thing. It has giant robot dinosaurs. Go play it. It's good. And you know, if it comes to PC, then more people can play it. Hooray!
People are definitely going to be. They're going to be modding it, so you're like taking down giant Ronald McDonald or something. It's going to be great.
They're gonna mod Aloy to be like Link, and then all the Nintendo fanboys are gonna be like, "See, Horizon Zero Dawn is just a rip-off of Breath of the Wild." That's what they're gonna do. I feel like that's an inevitability.
It's true. We're just counting the days.
You ever put the boxes for Horizon, Breath of the Wild, and Tom Clancy Ghost Recon Wildlands next to each other?
They look very similar. I get.
No, it's like they join up, and it looks like the same cliff. It's honestly
pretty good.
hilarious.
Weird. This cliff might be famous.
Or, you know, it just a really funny coincidence. I don't know.
Or it's a weird reference to the best cliff on the internet, LGR.
That's Clint.
Oh, Clint. Ah, shit. Sorry.
No, it's fine. I got the squeaky ducks.
Anyway. Okay, so anything more?
I wonder what the controller would be like.
I'm sure it'd be just like a PlayStation 4 controller, but slightly more streamlined.
I hope they don't add another stupid thing like that trackpad.
No, the rumor is that they're going to have some back buttons. There's like those patents and stuff. It sounds like it's going to have programmable extra back buttons.
Wait, that's
Sure,
just
why
the
not?
Vita.
No, well, sort of yes, but more like programmable paddles. You can like put like an extra style of trigger or make like a drift button on the back of your controller if you want.
Oh, neat.
I like that. It gives more opportunity for designing for disabilities in some cases. More programmable buttons.
Yeah,
hell
sounds
yeah.
good to me.
Hell yeah.
That's very important. There are many problems. Like a lot of people with issues of that have still problems. Like just allow them to remap the whole controller. It would help so much. That alone.
And also, every single game that allows you to control the camera should let you invert both axes of the camera. Don't just have one axis, because that makes literally no sense. If you can do one, you can do both.
Yeah, these kind of consistency issues still exist, and it's kind of bad. I know so many people who have problems with that. It's not funny anymore. Like, do something with the accessibility gaming industry.
Yeah.
2020.
I have a friend who only has one hand. He doesn't have use of his other hand, and he's a really hardcore gamer, and he can play most stuff, but when they don't allow him to customize like the shoulder buttons and stuff, he has so much extra trouble, because it's like I could set a controller on the ground and do both joysticks pretty easily, but if I'm not able to actually like touch, if L1 can't be my shoot or R1 can't be my aim, and he's like, I can't play it. I can't reach around to the back of the controller from the front of the controller. So he's always annoyed when there's games that just do not allow him to customize tiny things like that.
Yeah, that does seem like it'd be a pretty good thing. Or, full customization. That's a good thing.
Yeah, especially because it's like I'm buying the game. I'm not asking for special accommodation. I'm just literally saying like, hey, let me switch around the buttons in the game I paid for.
It's a simple option. Like it's so many simple things can really make these experiences better for people who suffer from disabilities and other issues. It's so much better. Like I like it when they offer larger text. It's already hard on some of these large screens to see everything, and larger text is often a good option.
So what were you starting to say earlier? Dreamcast guy was saying something earlier, and I interrupted him about the controllers because I'm.
Oh no, I made my point. I was just going to talk about that about more accessibility.
Oh.
But yeah, I hear also some people are also against this because accessibility is more people playing games.
I still don't get that.
I don't get it either. It's so
Like,
painful. But some
okay.
people are like that.
Like, okay, so like some people are like, you can't use save states, you can't have any accessibility options, you can't play on anything other than the highest difficulty possible, you can't use any powerful weapons, you can't do any of that, you can't play as a girl, you can't play as anyone other than a straight white dude. It's just like,
Fox only Final Destination.
could you maybe go away and let me just play the freaking game? If I want to play as a girl, that's my option. If they give me the option.
Some people are just weird. People want this like purified idea of gaming, I think, and it's to their own detriment.
Maybe not purified. Maybe more like I don't know what that was.
That's what I just meant. That's their own idea of it. Of like, I'm trying to be the true gamer.
Back in my day.
Not even I say that.
I mean, you're probably not that old.
I'm 32, man.
That's still not very old, dude.
Gaming it is. I mean,
It's
come
true,
on.
yeah.
I mean, I can operate MS-DOS. How many people do you know can do that?
Well, Clint from LGR.
Yeah, I'm 33, and sometimes when I'm telling people about like gaming before the internet, they look at me like I'm insane. It's like, yeah, man, like if you couldn't beat a game back in the day, it just didn't get beat. Like you couldn't look up cheat codes.
Kazuma Kiryu is 50.
I know it. He doesn't look a day over 28.
To be honest, Japanese age a bit slower, at least visually, so...
It's probably because, soy and not spending so much time in the sun.
I mean, there has been some studies on the effects of soy on aging, so might be.
People make fun of soy, but you can make lots of things with that. It's good for you.
Hey, can we actually wrap this up? I want to try and go to the gym, and I have to do another podcast here in a bit.
Oh, yeah, sure. That's totally fine. Sorry, we just kind of kept rambling. I figured it would kind of be weird to answer questions for an hour and then talk about the topics we actually picked for half. But hey, less editing for me. Yay.
Yeah, sorry about that. I want to try and I'm trying to spend an hour a day in the gym, and I have to do the next podcast at 7 p.m.
That's totally understandable. That's fine. I kind of think of it. I really should do that one exercise thing I said I'd do as part of my New Year's resolution.
Okay.
I haven't done that yet. I should do that. But yeah, I guess that's going to be it for this episode. Thank you very much for watching or listening, whichever you're doing. Thank you especially for watching because, I spend time editing these visuals, and I also drew a tiny version of DreamcastGuy. That was fun.
I appreciate that. It's a very good likeness.
Thank you. I'm probably gonna redraw it at some point just to make it look better, like the rest of it. But whatever. Anyway, thank you again to Dreamcast Guy for coming to the bar and talking with us about stuffs and things.
Yeah, man, it's been happy to be here. I really appreciate the invite.
Thank you for coming. And Nightmare, you got anything to send us off on?
Eat your vegetables, people and children.
All right, that'll do. Bye.